Hello there, Chris here. I decided to do a Superflat Hardcore 100 Days challenge. Now then, when you first spawn in, you have to run very fast because the slimes will see you and kill you quite quickly if you don't move. From there, you have a couple options. You can take over a village and become the lord of the town and make everyone do your bidding as you would, or you can do that just at a different village. Now, I was looking for a very specific village, a very specific building, because in that building, it has lava. And with lava and running water, you can make a cobble generator. Now, I went through quite a few towns to even find one. I eventually found a horse. I looted along the way. My inventory was bursting full of loot and goodies until I finally found a place to call home to build the cobble generator. On day 5, that's when all the fun really started. I was able to make the cobble generator. However, since my inventory was bursting with loot, I needed to clear that out. After clearing that out, it was cobble gathering time, which involved the very, very exciting process of standing in one place and mining it. That's it. That's all I did for 2 days. 5 and 6 are riveting content. Would you like to see? Riveting, isn't it? On to day 7. Day 7 is wall building day. I need the walls, man. The squishiness, the slimes attacking. The fear I feel every time I walk outside is immense. Along with walls, I need agriculture. I need farms. So I decided to make a farm or two outside at the moment. And one thing I learned from past playthroughs is to build many walls. Not just one big one, build smaller ones within. Because that way you can hide behind one if the slime is trying to kill you, which happens quite often. And as you can see here, we have a slime trying to attack me through the wall. I did nothing. Nothing violent. I turned and walked away. Now on to more farming. Now the rest of day 7 was pretty much just getting the farms all planted with the stuff I need and smelting some wood for charcoal. I need to get some torches. I don't really have any and I want light, because everything the light touches is mine. On to day 8. Day 8 was filled with more wall building. Because like I said, many walls, not just one big one, many. It might be annoying to go through all the gates and whatnot, but it's safe. And in hardcore, it's all about safety, not vanity. Safety. And I'm putting those torches to good use around the farming area, just in case zombies or skeletons want to spawn and try to take me out. Or creepers. They are sneaky little buggers. Now on day 9, nothing much happened. Just did some more planting, got some more charcoal, murdered a golem, the usual fun. Since at the moment I do not have an iron farm, I'm relying on these golem spawns to spawn, that way I can take them out. So I need that sweet, sweet iron to make hoppers. That's the main thing right now. Hoppers, and I just like to have iron. I really do. It's on to day 10. Now after clearing out some of the walls because I want to expand the farm, I want to have many, many things going on here. After expanding the farm a little bit, I decided to go and do a little wood chopping. I made a small tree farm. By small tree farm, I mean I made an area to where I can chop trees. That's my tree farm. Made it, chopped it, went about my day, and decided to get the crops a-going again. After a hard day of agriculture and wood chopping, I retire for the night to continue on to day 11. Now day 11 is when I decided to finally make the farming area look a little bit better and a little easier to walk around. Due to the fact that you can waterlog stairs and slabs, I decided to waterlog some stairs and put some wood on top of them. Well, logs. It adds a certain effect to the farm. After that, it was mostly chopping and trading because I desperately wanted to get those sweet emeralds, since there's things that you need to get from villagers that you can't get otherwise in a Superflat. Now, first thing I noticed on day 12 was that my horse escaped. I don't know how, I don't know why. I thought he was quite happy where he was living. Captain Cloppers is my favorite. I can't let him leave. So I go and grab the saddle off my other horse and go and snag Mr. Cloppers before he leaves me forever. I just can't have that happen. Now, I knew at some point I would need a lot of sheep. Since I haven't gone to the nether yet, I don't have quartz for observers to get an actual sheep farm going, so I need to expand the sheep farm, which means building a wall around the existing area, plus taking down the wooden fence surrounding the current sheep area. There's going to be a lot of sheep here in the future. Otherwise, it's on to more trading and cutting, which is a very common theme in the early days, and to save everyone time, I'll more than likely do a single word for each day until it gets somewhat interesting, because it's fairly repetitive and it can be quite boring and not great content. Finally, the wandering trader spawned for me. He spawned outside of my little area, which was inconvenient, considering I needed to fight the slimes and also ensure that I didn't hit him or, you know, kill him on accident because slimes are being mean. After getting the boat and trapping the llamas and him, well, a llama and him, I was able to get the leads, but also I could actually go back and trade with him. Now, I cannot tell you how excited I was, even though I didn't express it in-game, to get sugarcane right off the bat. Oh, that's a godsend. And blue ice is always nice for future projects, if I survive that long. But most of the sugarcane. I was hoping for a little bit more, whether it be different trees or something, but sadly not the case. And I am totally okay with sugarcane, because if I actually survive long enough to get an elytra and whatnot, yes. Totes using that often. Now on day 15, it was about expanding the sugarcane farm, or at least getting an area to expand it to. So I moved the ones that I had, which was only like 7 or 6, nothing too impressive. But the area that's going to be, ooh, impressive indeed. Along with that, I had to kill some slimes because they were annoying me, and the squishing is driving me mad. It is time for rapid fire. Expansion, slab placing, mining, shearing, trading, chopping, gathering, villagers. Now on day 24, I finally start making headway on the iron farm, because by golly do I need it. It has been a chore trying to get the iron, and I'm really tired of using stone tools and everything, and I want armor. My gosh, I just want some armor. Now, originally I wasn't sure what tactic to use to get the villagers up. I was just going to wait for night and then lure them with the bed. And then I thought, well, you know, let's try using the workstation, which in the past has worked great, but this time it didn't. For whatever reason, it just did not work for me. So I ended up waiting until nighttime to actually lure them in with the bed, which was so much easier. There was still fear of creepers and stuff killing me, but it was lessened by the fact that I made a wall. Walls save lives, kids. Remember that. After the first one, I just need to get 2 more of his buddies in there to spend eternal getting feared and producing my golems for me. I'm such a kind person. Since I didn't want my one villager to be alone, I wanted to get 2 more buddies for him. So that's what I did. I went and boat napped a couple of them and brought them in. However, getting them around the path blocks was mildly annoying. Thankfully, I just replaced it with dirt, so it wasn't too bad. After that, getting them in there really wasn't that hard because he's the same method with the bed, which I highly recommend so long as you are in a safe area to do it. Otherwise, no, just no. So I needed a specific zombie because, well, since I didn't have a name tag, it needed to be one that could actually hold an item, which surprisingly enough, when you need it to happen, it usually doesn't. And that was the case here. The first one didn't, and after a little bit, I was able to finally get one, which luring them up is not hard. Just be sure you actually check that it's gonna go well and it's not, you know, you didn't like forget a block in the middle to where it will bounce up and attack you. I've had that happen, not fun. Now after finally getting all of that set up, I waited. Would you look at that? Riveting chopping content. This is exactly why you're here for it, this quality content. Now that I finally have the iron farm working, I have to actually get the kill chamber going to make sure I can actually harvest the iron, which I know, crazy. So while terrifyingly placing stuff and just hoping I don't accidentally misclick and hit the golem, because I have done that a few times, and it's not fun, to finally getting all that set up, getting the water pushing, and getting the golem down, I can finally start on the kill chamber. Kill chamber is pretty easy. I just use campfires and water to push them into the campfires. I had to be sure that it was down enough to where they wouldn't just walk back up and it would actually consistently kill them. Otherwise, it was pretty simple. Now, the last thing I need to do before letting this run its course is to bring the golem in and test it out. This was also minorly terrifying just because I'm so scared of hitting him. So scared. But after much pushing and moving and grunting and, well, the get in there, get in there, get in there. After all of that, finally pushed him in there and let him enjoy the sauna. And then of course a spider protested and tried to take me out, but I took him out, I clapped him. Good. After that, I relaxed. So this day got a little weird. In the beginning it was fine, it was just the usual chopping down the wood, taking care of the farms, getting the sugar cane, chopping more wood, so on and so forth, until near the end. Now in this world, I have mini HUD, free cam, and Lightmatica and stuff. They just are great quality of life for me to use. So free cam, I'll occasionally check on the iron farm to make sure the villagers are still being feared and, you know, not dead somehow. Somehow, it is hardcore, so they shouldn't, like, die. They should be converted, but I took a peek in the iron farm with free cam, and somehow, they just vanished. I have never had this happen. I've built this farm a handful of times, and I've never had it happen. So I don't know if the zombie was able to attack them from the corners or what, but the villagers just freaking vanished. So that was not ideal. And I was very dumbfounded as to how this happened. So now I have to fix that. Now we have to fix the problem of the disappearing villagers by just replacing them, because I still have no idea why they got taken or just left me. Did they nightcrawler their way out of there? Just boop, teleport all the way around? It's crazy. Now thankfully it isn't too hard to do this when you do it at night, but of course that presents its own danger. However, walls save the day again. I had enclosed the villagers in their own little area, but then on top of that I had enclosed pretty much everything that I'm constantly walking in or near around a wall. So the transport wasn't too bad. I was just worried that skeletons were gonna snipe me, because they tend to do that, because they're jerks. Now from there, it was just getting the terrain right, because path blocks and boats do not mix. So you have to either replace them with dirt or just make everything a path block. I did a bit of both. First night was just getting them over to the area, and then after that, it was actually moving them up. But of course, I used the same tactic I used before, and actually did the bed method, because it just seems to work better. I mean, it makes sense. They want to go to sleep and get the night away, so I understand. After finally boating them both in there and getting everything squared away, I finally was able to use the bed method to get them up to where I need them to go. And then just to secure the fact that they're staying there, I decided to mine some cobble while I waited to see if they vanished again. So I would mine cobble, go into free cam, check they're there, mine cobble, rinse and repeat for a few hours, I think. So on days 31 to 52, yeah, nothing really happened because I played a little thing called nap roulette, and I took a bullet. Let's just put it that way. Basically, I went to lay down for a little bit because I was a little bit tired, and I needed to rest my eyes for a little bit. Well, that kind of turned into about 7 or so hours of sleeping. Didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. So, I mean, I got iron now, so that's a plus. But I'm sure people have played nap roulette before and lost, so hopefully people understand. Now after waking up from my nap, I looked outside the window and I saw a wandering trader, which is a freaking godsend, I'll tell you that, because there's a few things that I would love to get from him. First though, I want to check the iron to see how much I got. Not as much as I would have wanted, but I mean, it's only one cell, so I'm not too shocked. Going to the wandering trader, I see that he has spruce and jungle saplings. Yes, please. Now I very quickly grabbed those up because, well, I need them. I need more wood to use, man. For some reason though, when I went out to the crops, something had stomped on them, and I don't know what. There's no slimes that spawn in there. There's no mobs that walk around it. It's all lit up just fine. So I don't know what caused them. Unless it was the wandering trader, but I don't know. So I was very confused by that, but I fixed that and put everything back to order. Today's another chop heavy day and a shearing heavy day. I definitely need the wood because, well, A, they're probably the best trees to get sticks from, which is how I'm getting majority of my emeralds. Since 18 emeralds, 18 wool for 1 emerald is a bit absurd, and I haven't done any zombie curing because, mostly fear, because that means I have to go into the nether, and I don't really want to go into the nether yet. In this 100 days, I won't be going into the nether only because of sheer fear, and this is the longest I've survived in any 100 days, and I've died a lot. But in 200 days, if you'd like to see that, I will be going into the nether and screaming like a little girl. I can pretty much promise you that. Today's the day we head out to the wild blue yonder. I take a few days and I head out and just see what I can find. I pick a direction and I go. Which was incredibly smart for me to do, because in one of the first towns I actually walked into, I found a chest with 10 obsidian. 10! Like, seriously. That's ridiculous. I didn't really know what to think. And I remembered, oh, that is the perfect amount to get to the nether. So that was fabulous. So after that shock, I went about and I just kept looting what I could find. Mostly more profession blocks, because I wanted to see if I can get more Fletcher tables, or pretty much anything that I wouldn't have to craft is my main goal. And extra lava is always good if I know where extra stuff is. I should have probably brought more buckets just to grab the lava and bring it back, but I figured hopefully that the wandering trader would sell me some dripstone sooner or later, so I could just make a lava farm and a dripstone farm. That's my hope. Will it happen? I have no idea. Along the way, I was able to pick up quite a few things. My inventory was absolutely stuffed with loot, and I even found the end portal. I couldn't find it when I skimmed through the footage, but I took a screenshot of it so I know where to go back to. Basically, I just have to run the same direction I ran to find all these, and I'll run into it. But I do remember, my main goal for this was to find cows, because I didn't have any near me, and I knew that I would need the leather for stuff. But also, I do like to have steak. So that was my main goal, which conveniently I found in the first town, but I wanted to keep on going to see what I could find. So that was the main goal, but I got a lot more out of it, I'll tell you that. On day 60, I finally arrived home, and I was able to finally put the stuff away and actually organize a few things. By organize, I mean pretty much just dump it into chests and deal with it later. That's future Chris' problem, not present Chris. Or past Chris? It wasn't my problem at the moment. Let's put it that way. Other than that, I pretty much just went AFK. I think it was either a call of nature or I just was working on something else, but I just went AFK the rest of the day 60. Gathering, chopping, farming, composting, breeding cows. Frustration breeder. Alrighty friends, the day is here. We're putting in the breeder on day 69. Now this design is by Logical Geek Boy. It's a design that I've personally preferred. I know there's others out there that are like, you can do them in a single block. Or yeah, basically you can build them in a block, but I've never really cared to do that. I just have my favorite design and I just go with it. And it's one that I fairly know off the top of my head. I had to bring in a schematic because A, I was tired and I just didn't really want to think. So I built it up in creative and then brought over the schematic into the hardcore world and built it up. Now I use the same method for getting them in there for the breeder like I did for getting them in the iron farm, which was just using the beds. It's just so much easier, I think. Finally, after 70 days, I decide to work on a mob farm. However, I do not have enough cobble because I've been using it for the, well, walls, shockingly enough. So my days are pretty much spent between farming up the crops to make sure I can get bone meal and stuff, but also just to farm them up, like sugarcane, obviously, and farming the cobble, because I'm going to need a lot of it because I would like to make this fairly large. After farming for a while, I was able to start getting the build going, which thankfully isn't too hard. The design is quite simple. It's the usual, using trapdoors to trick the mobs into thinking they can just walk off. They fall into the water streams and they get pushed either just by fall damage to their death, or they get put onto campfires and then you get that sweet loot funneled in using hoppers. There's obviously various methods using quartz and whatnot, or I mean using observers, which you need quartz for. Now after getting about partway up, I decided to take a little break to see if I could deal with the slimes at all. I was trying to see if I could put like some water around the area, but my efforts were not working. Somehow I was flooding the wall, but I thought I was putting it outside, but it wasn't working. I still don't know. I messed with it for far too long. Finally, I put carpets within the area that was actually having an issue with them being there. I don't remember if it was actually a spawn chunk or not, but they were just in there more than I wanted them to, so I just wanted to make sure if they were spawning there, they weren't going to do it anymore. So as we're dealing with the slimes, I went back to building up the farm, which involved putting glass on the sides, killing more slimes because they were getting all of my business. And from there, just farming up the wood and getting some more cobble in between because I needed more trapdoors, and you can never have too much cobble. It's just that simple. Oh boy, we are nearing the finish line. Now, as the mob farm was coming together, I was finishing it off, but I realized that if I really want to get the optimal, ridiculous rates that I'm hoping for, I need to get rid of a lot of the slimes. Now, the quickest way is probably to use water, I'm assuming, and just flood the map, which in hindsight would have been the smarter idea, and I could have just gotten Depth Strider boots later on and bada boom, bada bing, I'm good to go. But I didn't do that because reasons. I don't have a good reason, just reasons. So with that, I decided to turn on the feature in Mini HUD that allows me to actually see the slime chunks. And from there, I went around carpeting what I could while I waited for some of the mobs to start building up in the farm and getting me some drops. It's really not that fast right now due to the fact of the slimes, like I said, but it is slowly getting there. Slowly getting there. I had a couple of scares as far as just, I look up and all of a sudden, oh, there's all these slimes around me, which isn't shocking considering you're out in the open in a slime chunk around all of the slimes. So it's, I don't know what I was expecting, but there was a couple times where I got a little scared. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be this close to being at 100 days. The most I'd survived previous was about 25, I believe, roughly. I'd usually die around there. So I really was not trying to risk it and die on like day 99 and then just feel my entire soul break and cry. So for the last 10 or so days, I was pretty much just hanging around inside the walls. I would occasionally go out and do a few more of the slime chunks, but I gave up on that a little while. And I mostly spent it inside, dealing with the crops, doing some fantastic cobble farming. You're welcome. I know everyone has been missing this riveting mining footage. Let's watch. Ooh, yeah, that's the good stuff. Okay, now, I could hold you there forever, but let's move on. So as 100 days was approaching, I realized what I wanted to have done was to have a nice, shiny set of diamond armor, which is easy to do if you just want to quickly get to it. I mean, once you have the emeralds, you can pretty much speed run to it. However, I always like to have all my armorers and smiths and everything take iron so I can get the emeralds from it, because I usually have enough iron to where I'm not needing every little bit of it, so I can sell it. However, I've learned in the past, and I don't know why, I really don't, armorers seem to be the ones that don't want to give you the goose. Give you the bacon, give you the prize that you so desperately need. And so in the past, I've always had trouble with the armorers giving me, taking the iron. So I'd usually have to go through a few of them. I'd have to go through a few of the applicants, read their references, call a few of them up, and then, you know, tell them, sorry, we can't, there's no place for you here right now. And thankfully they went about their way, and I grabbed another one, and finally, after a few interviews, I was able to get one, and I was very excited. It took longer than I wanted it to, and we were creeping closer to that day 100. Day 99. Oh boy. Considering I was only technically 2 days away, 1 day away from hitting the 100, but I wanted to complete the 100th day, I didn't want to do anything super duper crazy. So I just hung around the camp. I chopped down some trees, did my usual, nothing too crazy, just watched the sun set on a final 100th day. I am so glad I did this. I really do enjoy the challenge of Superflat, and also Hardcore adds a special type of fear that I hadn't felt in a while. So that's exciting. On the 99th day, I was able to get the portal lit, and in the day 101, I will be going into the nether, cheeks puckered and just ready to fight, or, yeah, mostly just fight. Fight and pray. Now, hopefully you did enjoy. I have personally enjoyed going through the process Hopefully people would like to see a 200 days. If this video gets a single like, I will do a 200 days. Granted, I have to make it to 200, but I'll continue it either way. But with all that said and done, hopefully you did enjoy. If you made it this far, thank you. I'm glad it was enjoyable enough for you to watch this far. And I will see you in the next one. Do take care of yourself. Toodles!